I'm Caroline and welcome to my home on the hillside here in Wales, and today I've got some really interesting crafts. They vary from ridiculously fast to something that'll take a little bit more time but will have a little bit more detail in it. And to get started, we're going to do a craft that's not going to take long at all. I've got this lamp base. Now I can't remember how much I paid for it, but knowing me, it wasn't a lot. I don't like paying a lot for things. And it's got a place to put a bulb in the top, but no lampshade. So I've been looking and waiting, and that's why it's taken so long to use, because I finally found the sort of lampshade I wanted. You can see this cost me £1 in the charity shop, and it's got one of these things that actually you put the bulb in and then you push it onto the bulb and it holds it firm. So that I don't have to do anything to. It's perfect. I can add a little bit of embellishment if I want to. I don't think I will. And I've got some little cats. This one I think cost me £1. I can't quite remember. This one I left the price on, so that was 49p. And I think this one was 49p too. So I've got a little family of cats. The plan is I'm going to turn this into almost like a lamppost that the cats are leaning against, I suppose it would look like. So we're going to put mummy cat there, and that little cat behind, and this little cat in there. So the first thing I need to do is to glue the mother cat onto the lamp. There's not a lot of space, so it's going to be very tight, but it can still be done. So I'm going to need a blob of glue on this very edge here and on there. Out with the glue gun and pop mummy cat into position. If you put whatever you're sticking next, it could be a cat, it could be anything, animals or toys. If you put it there, you can see where it touches, so you know exactly where to put your hot glue. So I need some hot glue there and a little bit, I think it was there. Now I'm thinking of sticking this one lower. I think it's more interesting if it's on the same height. One, you can really, it brings out the fact that they're not actually sitting on anything. And two, it looks a bit plain. So I'm thinking of putting this one down a bit lower and about there. So let's have a look where it's touching. There and above. So a little bit of glue there and there. And on with the third cat. Now wasn't that quick and easy? Take the price off the lampshade. So I pop that in place. There are my kittens and I love it. It's fun, whimsical, but simple and so fast. The most time consuming part was trying to find in the thrift stores and car boot sales the perfect things to stick on. Right, let's go have a look what this looks like up on my display. This project is going to take a little bit longer to do, but it's not a never-ending project. It is within easy reach if you've only got an hour or so. I've got lots of sewing related items. I put a stencil on this sheet of paper, and I've got this hot dog recipe type thing. So the first thing we're going to do is to cover this front and this recipe section here. I'm going to use some Mod Podge, but not too much because I don't want the paper to wrinkle. As it is, it's quite a thick, substantial paper, but I still don't want to risk wrinkles, so I'm not going to really overload this piece of wood. I've just realised I needed to cut a little notch out of the bottom too, so that it'll come down and cover the edges here. Just to neaten up the edges, I sand off around the very edge of the board. Now take the piece of paper I cut off the bottom and stick it on the front. Well, I think that's a huge improvement already, but now we're going to add some decoration to this, and I'm going to turn it into a sewing themed item. So now I'm going to glue these little mini cotton reels to the front piece here, and I think that looks really lovely. Just make sure there are no stray ends. Glue the end there, and then a little blob again, and stick it on. So while that's drying, I'm going to take this old ribbon roll, and the ends look very modern and I don't like that, so I'm going to draw around it and then cut out new ends. I can feel where the centre is, so I'm going to mark it with a hole, then mark them both by using that as a template. So I've now punched a hole in either end too, and I'm going to glue these to the outside of this lace roll. And now that looks really old. I love it. And now I'm going to stick this piece of ribbon, which is the perfect size, onto here. So easy to do and so effective. And look at that. Now they're nice and firmly stuck on. This piece of fabric I'm going to turn into a roll of fabric. So just roll it up, and a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place. So I want to glue this into position. Make sure it's right where I want it to be. Blob of glue, and on it goes, just at a slight angle. I've got this piece of fabric here that I'm going to try rolling around here. I think it's a bookmark, and see if that looks like another bolt. Oh yes, it does. Now this pin cushion I think is going to be a lot of fun, and leaving the little strawberry dangle. So I'll hot glue that into place. A little blob on the back. I've got some patchwork shapes I was working on many years ago. I thought they probably look really good in here too, so I'm going to glue those together with a blob of hot glue. Like that. They can go in there. It's really starting to fill up this shelf now. Now I'm going to glue a tumbling block into the bottom, because these last few things I want raised up. I don't want them to disappear. So pop that on there just to raise the surface a little bit. And then my cotton reel can go in there. My roll of ribbon can go there. And this piece of lace rolled up, but then hanging over, can go there. So now we just need to hang it from the top, and I'm going to use this piece of fabric that's got a tape measure design on it. Loop it like that, and this is going to be just glued onto the back. I'm going to take this skein of embroidery floss, wrap it around to hide the piece of paper that's holding it together, and I'm going to pop that on there too. Well, I love that. It's very whimsical, it's very pretty and perfect for somebody who likes sewing, or to keep in your sewing room, and then you could use this as a useful shelf if you wanted to as well. Right, let's see what this looks like up on my display. This project is really fast, really simple, but it's going to look very effective. I've got this piece of florist foam. As you can see, it's been well used. I'm hoping it'll stand up to all the stresses I'm going to put it under, and it's just a snug fit. If it wasn't, I'd wrap a little bit of florist wire or something where you couldn't see it to hold it in place, but I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to try making this display with it lying down so that you can see exactly what I do. I'll move it down here. I've got a little bow at the end. So first of all, I put my flowers in a framework I like. Now, it's individual how you prefer to do this, but this is how I like to do it. So I'm putting the iris in as a triangle. So you've got a middle one and then two side ones, and they form a triangle. And because I put 3 florals going up, I'm putting 3 purple florals coming down. Next thing I'm going to do is to fill in behind the florals with a little bit of foliage. Then I add a little bit more greenery around the front, and I try to get greenery that looks good drooping down and give it a little bit of a flow down. Now I'm going to add this beautiful ranunculus into the centre. I think that looks lovely. And then add a few little white florals underneath and around the ranunculus so that it doesn't look bare. I was going to add a little bow, but I think that is beautiful all on its own, just like that. Aha, now I'm looking again. I don't like that leaf there, so I'm going to bend him out of the way. So he's still useful as a leaf, but he's not blocking the view of the flowers. No, I love that. That was pretty easy. It's a great way of practicing your flower arranging because it can take a while to get the hang of it. But keep trying, and if it goes wrong, you can take all your branches out. Eventually, the floral foam won't hold anymore, and you'll have to change your floral foam if you make too many mistakes, but you can make a couple and you'll be fine. So how's that for something simple and easy? It's just a candle holder and some dried flowers. Let's go have a look what this looks like up on my display. This project is going to take the longest because it involves painting, and anything that involves painting takes longer than anything else. But I've got this little candle holder here, very pretty, and there's a little block in the bottom so that it lifts the candle up so you can see the light through there. I did take it out, it's loose, but the reason I did that was I didn't realise I needed something there when I actually did the job. So that's going to go back in, and I've got a candlestick, which I love to use as a riser, and I've got this circle of cardboard. So we'll come to the circle of cardboard after I have painted this riser. We've also got a red cardinal and a little bit of foliage. Mixed up roughly half and half of a brown and a black acrylic paint here. I could have just used plain black, but I thought I'd rather have something, I don't know, it's got a little bit of almost depth to it. And I just paint my candlestick. In the ideal world, this will take one coat, but we'll find out. Well, it's always a nice treat when it's one coat to paint something, and that took one coat. So now we'll put that to the side to dry and get on with the next section. First thing I need to do is remove the handle. So I've got my pliers, and I'm not sure how easy this is going to be, but we'll give it a try. So the top of this candle holder is 4 inches across. Now I cut a circle that is 8 inches across. Just a piece of old cardboard that I don't need anymore, and I've cut through to the centre. And then this is just going to turn around until I get the right size for this birdhouse. So I think it needs to be much tighter. I want a bit of an overhang, but not much. Oh, I think that's about right. Right, my stapler has gone on strike, so I've got myself one of these. I'm going to run some tacky glue, using the nozzle to squirt the tacky glue in quite far, because that'll give it a long-term grab. And then, using my glue gun, just going to glue it a little bit more effectively for quick gluing. While that's finishing off there, I'm just going to cut around the edges to even them off a little bit. So now we've got a lovely little roof for the birdhouse. There are a few options here. You can get some skewers. Got my stirring skewer here, and you can put a row of skewers all around. That's going to be difficult to cut right because of the angle at the top. Or you could put some fabric onto it, or you could have originally, before you twisted this around, put some paper on, but that won't work if you've got straight lines, I don't think, because it's going to look odd. But I'm going to paint this to try to make it look a little bit wooden. So now, using a dry brush, I just run the brush in the direction of top to bottom, and after I've finished that, before the paint dries, I just give it a run down exactly the same direction with the wet wipe. Now, there are better ways of making a wood effect. If you add, the best thing to do now is to add different shades of brown, just repeating the process over and over, and that will really make it look good. But for the purpose of this, I'm quite happy with the way it looks there. So I've got my roof, but before I go putting the roof on, I have to do some work inside. So first thing I'm going to do is re-glue this in. It took me ages to get that out because it was stapled in. But now I'm going to put it back in with a bit of hot glue. Because I'm now going to take my red cardinal and have him coming out of the nest like that. I think that's lovely. So I just need to get a little bit of glue on there. Oh, look at that. I've glued my finger protector to it now. Fortunately, hot glue stays hot for a while, so it'll give you time to make sure you're happy with the positioning of your bird. Yep, I love that. So now I need to fix the roof on. And a run of hot glue right around the outside. So get yourself a glue stick ready at hand. As you can see, mine's virtually gone, but too much left to actually replace it just yet. Now, if you give it a minute or so for your glue gun to reach its peak temperature before you start this, and it'll get more glue out because you don't want to take your time putting little tiny bits of glue. And I find my glue gun anyway, by the time I get halfway round, will start to cool and then it will be coming out very slow for the second half. Right. Don't want any distractions. Tuck away the little stand so that's not in the way, and here we go. And on with the roof. Look at that, isn't that lovely? So I decided to be a little bit more flamboyant. So I wired together these, I'm not quite sure what they are, wooden, twiggy, leafy things, and made them into a circle around the birdhouse bottom, but with an edge coming off to give it a sort of natural look, almost as if it's on a branch. Now, I'm not sure that I'm completely pleased with that, but I can always take it off at any point. And by now, in theory, my base should be ready and dry so that I can add this to the base. We just put lots of hot glue on and then centre it up and pop it on. So now as one last final bit of embellishment, I'm going to put a piece of this onto the front of the birdhouse. If you're finding any of the crafts enjoyable in this video, then please give me a like or a thumbs up. That would be great. Thank you ever so much. I really do appreciate it. So after adding a little bit of these florals, look at this glue everywhere, I think it looks quite nice. Let's have a look what it looks like up on my display. This craft is one of the fastest ways to add a little bit of colour and height to your display. I'm going to use this heart shape. It was a candle holder, but I'm just going to turn that over. Now, if you want to give this a more completed look, you can put this on a piece of brown craft paper, glue it on, cut around, and then you'll have a more expensive and finished looking bottom. But I'm quite happy with leaving it like this because it's for me and I'm going to like it without even worrying that the bottom isn't finished. But that's up to you. I'm going to use this gorgeous candle holder that I got. It cost me £1 and I just love it. And I got some florals. And that's all there is to this. Now, we're going to be, first of all, fixing the candle holder to the base. Now, there are two ways of fixing this. There's a dip in the bottom, that is the top. But I'm going to turn the top down. One, it'll have more grab to stick to the bottom. And two, it gives me a nice bowl to get some depth for putting in my florals. Make sure that your candle holder is central. It doesn't look very central, but that's because my camera is slightly out, I think. But from where I am, that's perfect. Now, while that's cooling, I'm going to be just using one bloom as the main floral display for this. Now, this is going on last. We need to know where everything is going first. So I've got some of these eucalyptus leaves. So if we put the flower on there, I think that's going to look pretty. But I've also got these gorgeous, look at that, white berries. So I thought 3 is always a good number if I put those like that. But that may look a bit too uniform. No, play about with your display until you're happy with it. Much better than gluing them on and thinking, oh, I don't like that. Rather than use floral foam, I'm going to just glue them into place. Oops. And now I'm going to add some of my eucalyptus leaves. Now that looks a bit of a mess, but don't worry at all, because now we're going to glue in our pièce de résistance, the big flower. Lots of glue on this one. Pop it in. Now that's in, I can see that I really do need another branch in there. Floof out your floral if you accidentally dented it when you were putting it on the top. And how quick and easy was that, and how wonderful does that look? Right, let's go see what this looks like up on my display. Well, this has been a very messy crafting session. I'm covered in paint. I've got a bow here that I didn't use. I can use it in the future, but it really didn't go and suit the project. So now I'll put that away somewhere safe. And I've got a terrible mess to clean up, but I don't mind. I've had such a lot of fun making these crafts. And a few bits went wrong and some things are not perfect, but that really doesn't matter. If you're making crafts, the most important thing is that you have fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. If you have enjoyed this, then please give me a thumbs up, and it would be great if you could subscribe. And that way then you'll get to see more videos that I put out. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye.